Now it's time of Professor Saidur Rahman Khan. He will give talk on Know Your Wires and Balloon. So, dear fellows, please concentrate the session and put your valuable questions. Professor Saidur Rahman Khan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Thank you.
Can you
Thank
hear
you. You
me?
can start your session.
Professor
Can you
Saidur
hear me?
Rahman, Professor Saidur Rahman is one of the leading radial interventionalists, almost 100% radialist in Bangladesh, and he is doing very well in radial intervention, including both complex and regular PCI, as well as all the complex lesions, including the rotablation. Thank you, Dr. Saidur
Thank
Rahman.
you.
I am
Thank
lucky
you.
enough that we are in the same, we are from the same place, Shorishabari.
Thank you for the nice words, especially in this very morning. I think the fellows has been just overwhelmed and already burdened by the bolus dose of knowledge so far in the morning. So now what I will tell about the know the wires and the balloons. This is one of the basics of intervention, and this is because this Grunzig, you see the first PTC in planet Earth back in 1979, and so primitive it seems to us, the guide wire, the balloon of that time. And then in 1982, the Simpson made it a bit easier with a removable guide wire. But after that, the innovation goes on, and we are in a different world of intervention with so many options we have. These are the armamentarium you see that 22, and it is going more and more. And among them, these guide wires and balloons are the most integral part of intervention. And if we follow the steps chronologically and categorically, the wiring and the lesion preparations, these two are very important. And for that reason, I am starting with the wires. The basic understanding of the words is something not like this beer, the love me not, like just choose anywhere, not like that. We have a very poor understanding of the words technologies, and especially to choose an appropriate guide word among the 60 to 70 variety according to the merit of the lesion subset and vascular bed and itself. And obviously there is no substitute for the tactile feedback of the wear, and one must be familiarized with a handful of words, of course, with budget consideration. What do you expect from a guideware? It should have talkability, trackability, crossability, support, deliverability, and obviously, and most importantly, the tactile feedback. But all the wares, you can't have all the things in the same ware. So we have to choose. If we to find out the structures, which is sometimes a bit important to remember, that it has four parts of a ware: is the core, the tip, the body, and the coatings. And these four parts we have to remember. If we talk about the cores, the materials, especially in broad spectrum, is a stainless steel or nitinol. Stainless steel wares are like floppy, whisper, pilot, miracle, and confenja. Nitinol is the BMW PT2 and RAM 2. The stainless steel has got more support, more pushability, more torqueability, but it kings faster. But in case of nitinol, it doesn't king that much. If we tell about the diameter, which is also very important, like the thicker wire or the thinner wire, the thicker wire obviously has a higher support, but obviously it has better, less flexibility, and that's the problem here. If we can go for the coat tapering, which is also very important, you can see in the guide wire the leaflet there is that whether it is tapered or not, and it has also a short taper or long taper, and among them, if you can choose that according to the lesion itself. If you go for the tip styles and the designs, then it is also nowadays the companies are working very much hard for these things for good torqueability, the core to tip extension of the wear of the core, and the shaping ribbon is another types. And there, if you see the examples of the wires, the whisper floppy has core to tip, and the shaping ribbon has a BMW, and composite core is the Gaia family. This also have a good shape retention and torque transmission. If you go for the tip loads, and that is very much important here, because by that tip load you can easily differentiate your day-to-day practice from a worker's wear to the moderate support to the higher support wear for a special subset of situations. Usually less than 1 gram tip load wears can be used as a worker's wear. And these workers are like BMW run through Schönbrunn and Fielder sometimes and floppy. These are the wares and Gaia, Confianza, miracles of different loads you can use for the special purposes. If you go for the guided body, this made of coils or polymers. The polymer jacketed wires are more, but with coils also is possible with coils like BMW and floppy, and with polymer coaters like Whisper, PT, and Pilot wires. Wire coating, it is one of the most important things. You have to ask your co-operator whether it is a hydrophilic or a hydrophobic wear. Hydrophobic wears promotes tactile feel very much, but it has it will have less crossability, but the hydrophilic wears has got more crossability and trackability, but less feelings. So hydrophilic words like Fielder family, Boston PT family, and the Miracle floppies are hydrophobic words. So already you will be very much puzzled. I am always puzzled with the words by these things of which word you will take. Like this, if you see this list is the ordinary, the workers words. So big list you have. And if I just narrowed down the smaller one is the floppy, Whisper, Xion, BMW, and the Pilot and the Fielder FC. These are the workers words you can use in different ordinary situations. And these are the specialty words so which you can use if you make it shorter, the Gaia family, the Fielder family, and the Confident, the Miracle in spatial situation. Or you can use these algorithm to see from lower tip load to higher tip load, from hydrophilic to the composite cores. And these are the words you can use. You can put it in your cat lab as a list, and so that you can memorize yourself different things. But in different situations like simple lesions, tortuous anatomy, bifurcations, acute recent stand thrombotic occlusions, and situation, in this situation, which word you will take, these are also very much important. And if you go these things, whatever the lesions you will choose, you have to deal with, this the optimum guided positioning is very much important. Wire should be pushed as distally as possible for better guide support, but balloon support can make it better, but be cautious with the hydrophilic or the higher tip load wire so that it should not perforate the distality. So this is one of the example of simple lesions where I have used the workers wires in my catalog is the Schönbrunn is the workers, or you can use the BMW floppy or run through anything else anything there. For the tortuous anatomy like these lesions, you have to use sometimes the hydrophilic and thinner wires like here I have used the Fielder XT, or you can use the Schönbrunn, sometimes Boston PT2, a moderate support or the light support, or Whisper or Pilots, and these are the for the tortuous anatomies. If it is bifurcation, any two workers is possible, but if it is hard to recross the side branch, especially in the decay crash or the culotte technique, in that case you can use a third wire, and sometimes you may need a hydrophilic wire to recross this thing. If it is a thrombotic lesions, in that case it's better not to take too much hydrophilic wire, rather to take like a workers and a bit softer guide wires, and so that it doesn't go to the subintimal space, but sometimes you may not be good if it is blended with calcifications. If it is CTO, there is a long range of wares nowadays, and these wares starting from the Fielder XT or Gaia series families go to the Confianza or Miracles to go for CTOs. If you have a complex lesion needed very good support, especially in the transradial approach, then you see that here that the non-culprit lesion has been wired by workers wire. This is called an anchoring wire techniques, and you can easily use that one. Or body wearing techniques you can use in complex lesions for better delivery of the devices and the balloons. If you sometimes you need the knucklings, only the Fielder family, Fielder XT wires, or the Pilot, and sometimes the Gaia seconds can be knuckled in these situations. Two other words we have to remember is the 009 wire is the rotor wire, which is a floppy wire, and nowadays you can just use it for primary wiring also. And the pressure wire FFR014, which is compatible with the workers wire, so you can put the stands and devices through the FFR wire after doing the FFR. That is possible. The curves you should make, like the simple procedures, you have this sort of simple curves, but when you will have to go the complex anatomies, you will have to make the secondary curves, and in CTO sometimes the guy has the pre-shaped curves. So nothing is safe with the wire. Even a sweet wire may elicit focal vasospasms and it may cause the accordion sign, which should be differentiated from a dissections. Wire tip induced subintimal tracking distance, you have to be very cautious. And visualization of the tip position to be monitored every time during the PCI. That's very interesting, especially with the hydrophilic or the high penetration force wires. So to wrap up with the wires are simply wires like in violin, just to know how to it tunes, and tactile feedback is the way to know them well. And knowing the 4 parts of the wire a bit is very much important, so that it can judge very well with the wires. If you come to the balloons, then this is also very much important. Like back in 1979, the balloons were very crude, but nowadays modifications are going on. But it is behind the skin the integral part for PCI. And what we expect from a balloon, the entry, it should have a good entry capability, tracking capability, crossability also, and also have dilatation, pre-dilatation, post-dilatation capability with the proper materials and with the shoulder. This is in a nutshell the structure of the balloon. With the shoulder, you see the tip, and also you can see in other structures the whole catheter, the balloon catheter itself, and it has a working length is actually in this tip length is there and up to the shoulder. And you have to understand these things. Where is the tip? Where is the marker? And these things are very much important, especially for the complex relation subjects to use the balloon. Keeping the structure in mind, we need to understand the performance parameter of an ideal balloon, like low entry and crossing profile for a better crossing, short inflation and deflation. It is very much important to avoid ischemic complications. Optimal refolding characteristics is very much important to avoid traumatization or stand damage while you are pulling up the deflated balloons. Predictable balloon compliance is very much important to allow precise diameter, and high balloon burst strength or high pressure dilatation is very much important. Low bending stiffness is also very much important. And this is one of the important slides. According to the compliance, you have to know the balloons, like compliant, non-compliant, or semi-compliant balloons. We have to use the compliant. If you see this graph here, the compliant balloon means it will continue to grow after the atmospheric pressure is increased, but in non-compliant, it grows very little, and it's very much friendly, user-friendly sometimes, and semi-compliant in between. So in this sort of relation, like the highly crossable relations, you can use the compliant balloon, and when it becomes very much complex relation, it's better to use the non-compliant balloons. And this compliance depends on the materials that they are using in the balloons, like POC, the P, nylon, and PT, where the more it is becoming less compliant. And you have to know the atmospheric pressure, the nominal rated burst, and the working range pressures. What are the balloons we are using?
Professor Saidur Rahman,
Now the deputy
a
exchange.
lot of questions
I'm
have been,
finishing.
Professor Saidur
Yes.
Rahman.
Yeah, I'm finishing within 1 minute.
Lot of questions have been
Yeah.
generated. Please try short and then answer the questions. The fellows will
Rapid
be
exchange
ready
wires
for you.
is the monorail wires we are using very much well. It's a single operator with a balloon, and the over-the-wire balloons we can ability to exchange, but used just in for a special situation. These are the special balloons, like what I'm showing is scoring balloon, NC balloons, cutting balloons, and OPN, IVL, and chocolate. These three still not available in our country, and we have to know a little bit about the cutting and scoring balloons nowadays. Cutting balloons is very good, reduced trial as told it, but crossability and trackability is less in cutting rather than the scoring balloons, and melon seating is very less. This melon and some other special types of balloons you have to remember. And you have to also remember this watermelon seating of the balloons. And this watermelon seating you can prevent by using the NC balloons and sometimes the scoring balloons, and dog boning by the compliant balloons, which can be overrated by the non-compliant balloons. So to wrap up, like wires, balloons are also not random. Simply in complex cases like bifurcation, calcification, CTOs, we have to be very meticulous and perfect in choosing balloons, like smallest profile balloons in CTOs, balloons with appropriate compliance and size in pot, keys, spot, report in complex bifurcations. Very much important to choose the balloon, and different specialty balloons to deal with calcifications also. So wire and balloon mate for each other and mate for us for PCI. You have to remember that one. Thank you very much in this hard time, and I think we can come closer by like
Thank
these
you.
2 bars
Thank
very
you.
easily.
Thank you, Professor Saidur Rahman, for your brilliant presentation. From our fellows, on very simple question, I think you also answer very simply. What is tip load? You have mentioned that, but for our fellows, would you please, what is tip load and how it affect the characteristics of a wire?
Oh, that's the thing which I have shown here, that the tip of the wire, the tip of the initially the 5 millimeter, the distal tip has got some weight they're putting there. This is like that you are using that tip load. If usually it's less than 1 gram is the lowest tip load, and when it is getting increased, it becomes heavier. Like while you are tracking the wear, then that tip load will help you that how much you can track it and integrally, or how much you cannot. The higher tip load has got a more and more unit pushability, but it has got less trackability, and it may cause subintimal dissections. But in hurdle lesions like calcification and CTO, sometimes you may need a higher tip load, like more than 3 gram tip loads. That's all I can say.